How we doing?
I'm doing all right. I really appreciate this, SkinnyPete. If you don't know, my name is The Voice. It's
Well, hold
basically.
on before you say that. I am streaming right now, so be careful.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So basically, what I'm doing is I am writing a novel for Dark and Darker, and there's this challenge, or this company that has this challenge called NaNoWriMo, and it's basically the challenge to write a 40 to 50,000 word novel in the month of November. And so what I'm doing is essentially taking a. I was really inspired by the Empires of Eve book, where basically members of the community went out and they commissioned a writer for the Eve Online community to go and get player stories and to put that into like a chronological book in terms of like the more interesting player battles and stuff like that. So I figured if I wanted to write a novel for Dark and Darker, I would start with people I thought that had interesting stories. And so I've interviewed like Sparky Caldwell. I did a couple other people I have lined up as well that I think might have some interesting player progression stories that I want to use for my novels. And I thought, you stand out as someone who would have a very interesting story and background.
I mean, I might, but I will warn you, it's not a happy tale.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I was planning on talking about it more deeper if I ever got reinvited to the Darkest Hour, but my story is not exactly happy.
Really?
Yes,
Interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't realize
I'm
my
just
mic was so
warning
far
you
away.
just warning you ahead of time.
I gotcha. So, how did you first hear about Dark and Darker, and like, what made you decide to give it a try?
Hmm, it was a family member that showed me the game.
Okay,
It's quite interesting.
I gotcha. Do you remember like your first impressions of the game and like kind of what kept you coming back to the game and drawing you into it?
Hmm, I'd have to say it was pretty whimsical. Yeah, it was like Dark Souls 2 in a sense, where when you didn't know everything, it was kind of magical in a sense.
I
So it was so
gotcha.
different first time.
Were you involved in the playtest at all?
No.
Interesting. So, like, when did you come around to like? Did you come into Dark and Darker like after? Um,
I first started playing Dark and Darker when Landmine Rogue was like the meta. That was a while ago.
I gotcha.
It was like back when Landmine Rogues could probably two-tap you.
Okay, interesting. So, like, what inspired you to start doing like content creation and Twitch streaming for this game?
Mm, I started around a while back ago. I just didn't really know what to do. I had nothing else to do, so I just decided to give it a try, and it's been successful as of late. This week has been very bad for me because I've been having a lot of technology issues. I'm a little down under the weather.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was pretty sick for a week myself, not that
No,
long
I'm not
ago.
saying. No, I just feel sad. I'm just kind of down in the dumps about it because my router exploded. Best words I can put it. It's basically half fried, so sometimes it'll just kill itself.
Oh, interesting. I thought
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
maybe it actually like had some smoke and fire to it or something like that.
No, just fried components. It's just buggy, so it only works when it wants to.
I gotcha. Like most technology. So you started playing as a red lizard. So like, I noticed from your earlier content. I've been following you for a minute. I think it's pretty funny how uh, your content's quite amusing. It's really good. But like, what made you want to start being like a red lizard and like a barbarian? Mate, did you try like other classes when you first started the game? Like, did you try
Mm,
wizard maybe, rogue, or some other
I
classes like
pretty
that?
much first class I ever picked was Barb, and then I stuck to it. Just seemed right. I've tested other classes and dabbled, but it just never felt right.
I got you. Did was there any like close second maybe? Like I know you played warlock recently. Like it was a one-hander warlock build. Um,
Hmm.
and that seemed to sort of work out for you as well.
Yep.
Okay.
One-hander warlock. I mean, I tried it with Crystal Ball, but I was only there a couple lives. I much prefer two-handers. I'm a specialist in larger, longer range weaponry.
I
Not
got you.
ranged weapons. I don't use ranged.
I gotcha. So like,
Yeah.
why don't you use range then? Talk to me about that.
It's just something I never really liked doing. I just don't like not fighting an opponent in close quarters. I like the act of getting up close and then fighting them.
I
So
gotcha. So like, why this Zweihander? There's like the long sword on the fighter. There's like double
but
axe.
it
Like,
just
why this Zweihander?
ever since I was a kid growing up, all games that had a Zweihander, I'd always main it. So Zweihander is just kind of special to me exclusively. No matter what, in any game, no matter how good or bad, I'm going to use Zweihander.
Interesting. So
So it never was for any other reason other than it's just how I've always viewed it's just my weapon ever
interesting.
since I was a kid.
So were you like a Mordhau or like a chivalry player then? Like before you came to this game?
I did play a lot of Mordhau, but then I stopped a long time ago. It
Okay.
was just the game was stale and the community was just way too toxic. There was no joy of surrounded by an environment. People who just said the most down horrendous things.
I gotcha. It's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
interesting.
Sorry,
So,
I'm gonna speak up.
oh no,
I'm
you're
sorry
good.
if I'm being quiet.
So do you experiment with like other classes or like maybe roles?
Yeah,
Even though you main
occasionally do.
Barbarian and Warlock.
I do occasionally, yeah, but I have no real intention of changing other classes.
I gotcha. So I know that you a while back you discovered and maybe refined something called Acel Tech, right? Where it's if you do like a 180-degree swing with you can go underneath a shield user, and there's also you also brought to light. I remember maybe this was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, you discovered that like you can use this one-hander to kind of like swing through and phase through solid objects. So you're not really blocked by walls, and that kind of move the skill ceiling a little bit. Kind of talk to me about like how you discovered that and like how you figured that out.
Well, it was from an old game, Gary's Mod. I used to play some Gary's Mod, and of course there was a Zweihander. That's how I kind of first picked up. It's just a skill that I've always had. That's how I'm able to unconsciously do it. Since the beginning, I was able to do it. It wasn't just something I just found. I've been able to do that since I was a kid. And it worked in Mordhau, similar way as well.
Interesting. So you basically took like this tech from other games and tried to see if it worked
Yes,
in Dark and Darker.
pretty much that's what I do. I try and translate other skills that could be applicable and see if they work, and usually they do.
Interesting. So like when I watch you fight, I notice that you have like you're really good at getting that timing correct, like bypass shields, long sorters, and a bunch of other weapons. Like kind of walk me through the tech and how the wind up phase of the animation works on this Y-hander because I'm still not super familiar with like how that works. Like I've seen people do it to me, but I'm still not quite sure like how it works technically.
Uh, what part? Like drags, XLs?
Mostly the excels. Like talk to me about that.
Well, you just look in a certain direction, so it's where the sword start attack frames are. So, for instance, if you're watching, I just do this. I look more to the left,
Okay, interesting.
and then I drag it, or I mean, I XL it, and so it hits them even earlier because at the pole this is what an XL looks like. You just manipulate your camera, so at the very start of the attack frames.
I gotcha. Is
I'm
there
assuming you're watching the stream.
I'm actually not watching the stream. It
I
kind
get it.
of bugs out my audio a little bit.
I get it. Fair enough then.
So like, when did you realize that like the that you would so originally you were like a barbarian only player. Like, what made you want to branch out to like a warlock with that Y build
At the
as well?
time, people just kept saying that Barb's OP, and after just being frustrated with it, I'm perfectly happy playing Barbarian, only Barb. The problem is just when people keep saying to me Barb's OP, then I just show them other classes and show I could do the same things. It wasn't really I was doing it for just because I wanted to. It was just doing it because I wanted to prove to other people that like I don't win because I just play Barb. I win because I do what I do,
Interesting.
regardless of class.
So is Y-hander native to the fighter as well? Like, it seems like fighter would have like
Yes.
better perks for that, right? Like
Warlock, Fighter, and Barb
you know
has access to them.
it seems like like you have things like adrenaline rush, sword mastery with action speed.
I mean, I tried it, but like the thing is, I'm just attached to Barb. Just fits with my personality and playstyle.
I gotcha.
Just fits.
So like, what
because
was
you
it?
know the autism. So usually I just latch on to something and use it. I'm perfectly happy with it.
I gotcha. It's like the extreme addictive personality type of thing, right?
I wouldn't say I'm addicted. It's just I just desired only one thing. I'm just simplistic, not
I
really,
gotcha. So like,
not too complex.
what were some of the reactions from the community when you like kind of showed that these Axel, pardon me, like this wind up and Axel technologies for the first time? Like, was there did anybody else try to like did that become super mainstream? Did you notice after you published those YouTube videos?
I mean, I've done a set of people running Lizard Barb, and it is apparent that people do know who I am while I'm in the dungeon, just doing my thing. So it is apparent that I have made a name for myself. So I don't know. It's just I'm not really much keeping track. I'm pretty much really just to myself.
Right.
Honestly, I don't know how to socialize very well, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm terrible at it.
You seem to be doing all right now.
Yeah, you say that.
That's okay. I got a bunch of questions though. So like you've pushed
You're
your
good.
skills to the I would say to the limit. Like I remember there was a bit there I think with multi-classing or maybe before that came out where or came out again where you were playing without any perks or skills to test your abilities. What motivated you to take like an approach like that and like what did you learn from that?
Well, I think I was getting ready because Iron Mage said they were cooking up something, so I wanted to be prepared, and I was right on the money because that's been multi-class. So I was proving that if I want to use multi-class, I had to prove to myself that I did not rely on perks or abilities. I don't want to use anything as a crutch, so I have to prove to just to myself that I don't need this, etc., to win because I use my own utility and skills to win. I don't want a tool to be a necessity or a crutch. I want it to be just a tool that helps me win, but not as needed.
Interesting. So like did you know so like were you able to attain like a similar level of skill without perks as you were with perks?
I'd say I was improving a lot faster. I did massively improve from doing that for multiple days.
Interesting. What would you say is like one class that gives you maybe like the most trouble as a barbarian Zweihander main?
Hmm? Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I said like, what would you say maybe gives you the most trouble as a barbarian, this Zweihander main? Like, is there a specific class or build that just
Not
maybe like hard
really. I
counters you?
mean, the only thing I can think of is just cleric with protection of all evil. That just multiple things that cleric has just as counteracts the bard. Daily strike, blood exchange ticks, protection of all evil prevents that. Divine protection, very very small nit fact about it that not many people know is divine protection ignores armor pen, so Warmaul does nothing against it while
Really,
it's
I
active.
said did not know that. That's interesting.
Yep. Divine protection completely ignores all armor pen completely, so it doesn't do anything while it's under effect. So it's actually a detriment to try to use a Warmaul against it. So it's just a very niche thing.
Wow, actually, I had no idea. That's kind of insane. I see that you mostly run with like blood exchange and Achilles strike. You know, because if people move, the tick you get from that is really it's almost as good a second win. In some cases, it's better, right? So like, how did you happen on that like that particular combo? Because I don't think that was like
Well,
super
at
popular
the
for a minute.
time, yeah, it was back before it got buffed and people figured it out, but I was one of the first people to figure out that Achilles Strike and Blood Exchange work together. Not many people, no one ever used it. Pretty much no one. So it was just over time I figured it out, and then I just always used it. It's just, like I said, it's like with Barb, I just stick to mainly one thing and enjoy it. So I don't really desire things being different.
I gotcha. Can you describe maybe like a like early on, right? Like, would you consider like the mobs were like hard for you, and like
Nah,
no,
nah.
interesting. Do you,
I'm really good at picking up things really quickly, so I just kind of noticed it was a dance of just dodge their attack and hit them back.
I gotcha. So like early on, what was a really memorable like moment from the game for you?
Well, I guess it was when I first uploaded like my second video and it did well. I'm really happy that I'm trying my best. I have been struggling this week, but I am really grateful for the viewers and things I have. I'm just constantly in fear.
Constantly.
unfortunately.
I gotcha.
Simply
Um,
put, I'm just afraid. If you want to
uh,
know the truth, it's just I push people with reckless abandon. In reality, I'm actually terrified.
Interesting. So like, so you mean like when you push people with reckless abandon, you mean like in game you just like rush people down and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I'll explain in detail. Back before streaming and all that, I didn't know what to do. I just had no idea what I was doing with my life. I still don't understand anything. I'm not really good at anything. I sound suck in general. Can't socialize, no practical skills. I was just in a corner like an animal. Eventually, I just kind of snapped, so I just chose to fight. I never tried to escape reality through video games. I more or less took out my frustrations in video games. I was frustrated at the world constantly because life kept rejecting me one way or another. Like I said, my tale isn't a happy one. I try and hide it. I was planning to talk about more in the darkest hour, but since you're doing an interview, I might as well give you the honest truth is the only reason I'm here was because I got so frustrated being isolated that I just kind of snapped. And that's why you see me push people with such ferocity. I was tired of just doing nothing with my life. I just said, if I'm just gonna sit here and be a waste of oxygen, might as well try something. And that's the answer. And in
Interesting.
reality, I'm terrified because any day things could just end here. I hope I can just keep doing this for a living, but you know how content creation goes.
Do you think you
That's
switch to like
why I'm
another?
scared.
Do you think you switch to like maybe like another game that you find enjoyable?
I try, but I'm just afraid that like I never be able to keep doing it for a living. I wouldn't be able to sustain it. That's just what I'm afraid of. Like,
Interesting.
what if me killing other people isn't enough? What if people get desensitized to it and I just keep killing people over and over, doing the same thing over and over? At what point will people get enough and fed up of me just slaughtering lobby after lobby? It's just I'm afraid of my future because I don't know if I even have one, to be honest.
Interesting. Um, Interesting. I feel like if your content's entertaining, people will probably follow you. Like I think PewDiePie's changed like genres like 5 or 6 times. And like, kind of like rebranded himself a lot. Like if your player if the players like you, they'll follow you. If you go to another game, as long as you're like entertaining. Like I think you're quite entertaining, quite funny personally. Like I really love the bit that you do with the cave troll, where you like protect him, right? He's like he has a family. That's really funny. Even though I've seen it like
Yeah,
a few times. So like you definitely have talent. Otherwise people wouldn't watch you. So I think like those fears might be slightly misguided, but you definitely have a lot of potential. I really enjoy watching you and watching your streams occasionally. So um,
unfortunately, I just don't really have that same view. I'm not really funny.
I would
Like I
disagree.
said, I have a very negative self-opinion about myself usually. Like, I'm not afraid to talk about my feelings. Like, if anything, it just shows that I'm just open. I'm not afraid to show that I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best, but
I think a lot
this
of
was all just
people.
all of a sudden. One morning I woke up and people want to watch me.
Uh,
It's just hopefully maybe one day I get popular enough where I don't have to be alone anymore. That's the only
Interesting.
reason I do this. I just want to be able to sustain myself. I don't ask for everything. I just ask for enough to survive. Maybe hopefully I can actually have friends. I
Interesting.
always have that mindset where I have to be useful to everyone by telling them all these nice facts about the game, by being good at what I do. Maybe if I'm just more useful to others, maybe people will actually want to be around me.
No, I think you just have to be yourself, man. You gotta have some confidence in yourself. Like it's not easy
Yeah.
to stream in, especially in this game, and like kind of do what you do. Kind of moving back towards the more of a main topic thing. Like what were some of your biggest obstacles and learning curves you faced while trying to become like a better skilled player at this game? Would you say?
I don't know. I've just never really tried focusing on getting better. I just try and have fun. I just try and entertain. When I first started, you can actually tell the first ever videos, you can pretty much tell how I was at the time because I was completely monotone and soulless because that's just how I was. But, when things were good, I had more personality over time. So the viewers are the reason I'm even like this in the first place and why I'm even being open. Because
Right.
usually back then I was just barely any sign of any emotion ever.
So
So I mean,
speaking
there's
of
good facts, I
personality,
guess.
one of the interesting things that you do that's maybe caused a little controversy in the past is you use a drawing pad instead of a mouse and keyboard. What made you like choose that setup? And I've seen you use a Steam controller as well. You know it's kind of an unusual setup, I would say. It's part of the I'd say your personality. Just walk me through how did you end up choosing a drawing pad of all things to play this game?
In the past, like I said, there was no one around I had. I mean, I'm sorry if it sounds like just depressing, but it's just the truth. And this is just the reasoning. Because back then, I was just, in a room all by myself, day in, day out. So I had nothing to do but just try and get better. I just focused on, well, if I'm going to do the same things every day, then I'm going to do it faster. I'm going to do it better. I'm going to do better every time. Over time, it got to a point where I just kept constantly adapting and learning the skills that I've honed. That even the same hardware that I was physically using wasn't enough. I couldn't move my mouse fast enough or use a keyboard as effectively. So I got so frustrated that I just changed it until I found something that did work.
Wow, that's interesting. So I think previously the drawing pad or the Steam controller has gotten you banned a few times, right? It's been like two or three times. Like, kind of walk me through what that was like.
I don't know. It's just the main reason, as I said, the main reason I push people with no fear is I'm a lot more afraid of other things that are a lot more scarier to me. Running at people in reckless abandon doesn't scare me one bit, but
Interesting.
my future does. So I'm just terrified. So that's why I push, because I'm motivated by fear. I have to get in there. I have to win. I know that's a toxic mindset. It is with a lot of people in sports. Like, I'm perfectly self-aware that I shouldn't expect myself to have utter victory over and over. But yeah, the main thing is people think me is good at the game, so I try and maintain that.
I gotcha. So do you find that using a drawing pad is giving you any unexpected advantages or even some limitations in PvP?
Uh, Sorry, I'm just gonna speak. I've been whispering. Sorry, I'm whispering.
Oh, you're fine.
Uh, the main thing about it is it's just I could say there are some advantages, but I don't even know if it's even worth the effort of learning because the difficulty that it is to do is just drastic. It takes a hard learning curve. I mean, I'm just really good at picking things up, but even for me, it took me like 2 weeks straight just to figure out the Azeron. But now that I do, I mean, I basically have any key on my keyboard with the press of a button.
Interesting. What do you feel has been the most rewarding part of your journey with other players, both as a content creator and a player?
I have no idea, honestly.
I
I
gotcha.
have absolutely no idea. I'm just trying to be able to do this for a living.
I gotcha. So, kind of looking back on your journey through Dark and Darker, what are some early standout moments that kind of define your time in this game? Maybe your first artifact battle or the first time you saw an artifact, maybe.
Have never found one.
Have you battled people? I'm pretty sure you've battled people with artifacts at one point, right?
I have. I've killed some people with artifacts, but I just vendor them.
You just vendor them?
Yeah, even as saying I've vendored like 7 Nephilim so far.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
delete them.
So,
In the
well,
I won that tournament and I didn't even take the rewards because I said no handouts.
interesting. That seems
So
pretty hardcore to vendor, some of the more expensive
like
and
I
interesting items
said,
in the game.
like I said, another thing in the game is what I'm after. I'm after just trying to make a living, man. That's why I don't care about named items. I'm not. I got bigger goals, you know. Like, I'm trying to aim higher than just being good at just Dark and Darker. Because my dream is to one day be able to play any video game and do it for a living, entertain thousands.
I
That's
gotcha.
just all I really want. So I just want to be able to wake up one day and just know that my life is going to be okay. But I, I'm not just on the clock, you know?
Right. If you could give one or two pieces of advice to new players looking to push their own like skill sets in the game, like what would you tell them?
Just have fun, really. I would just say that the reason when I started off, when I was starting my YouTube and streaming, I just was taking out all of my frustration. So, I mean, I said earlier, I never tried using video games as an escape. I just used it to vent out my frustrations by putting effort into improving. So, using that rage was in a healthy manner of working on a skill. But I would just say that just have fun and you'll get better along the way. It doesn't matter how good you are at something as long if you're not having fun in it.
Right. Interesting. So kind of shifting a bit more to like more lore based questions part of the interview. So like when you play like your Red Lizard Barbarian or Warlock, do you have like a backstory for either of those characters that you've thought of, or maybe like what that might look like?
No, like I said, I just view really myself. I never really use the games I play as an escape, so I don't really think of that kind of stuff. It's just me.
I
Me
would
is just me, no matter if it's one form or another. So,
I do
by some people.
remember you. I think this might have been on the Darkest Hour podcast or some other video with Sparky or something. Maybe it's your Grimslayer video. But you mentioned that like something about Grimslayer, and you wanted the weapon to be a certain way because of some lore things or something like that. I don't quite
Oh, that
remember.
was
Talk to me
it.
about that.
You're thinking about the named item I had. I had a dream one night that I had a named item named Behemoth. It was based on the first Barb ever character I made. It was named Behemoth. And it was just a Zweihander with blood exchange. I remember it very distinctly. It was a default Zweihander, but instead of rust on it, it was blood. It was just a bloody sword. It had blood exchange permanently on it. It was a named Zweihander named Behemoth. So I guess the joke is I'm looking for that sword because I had it in an actual dream. So I just used it. I was using it in the game.
I gotcha.
So maybe one day I'll find it.
So
I
what do
showed
you?
SDF. I told SDF and he liked it a lot, so it might actually come true one day.
That would be pretty cool. What do you think of Grimslayer, like as a weapon
I
currently?
like it. I think they know what they were doing by making it red.
You've kind of gained a bit of a reputation as like the third dungeon boss um, in High Roller. Um, what do you think about that?
I try not to let things get to my head. Success can tear someone apart mentally and emotionally if you're not ready for it. So if I do actually get even more success, I mean, I've been so successful. I mean, this week I've been struggling because my router exploded, so been kind of I've been kind of slacking, but I've been trying my best to get back into it.
I
But
gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I'm just trying not to let success get to my head and create some ego. My fans are usually very quick to defend me if anyone tries insulting me, but I'm just kind of worried that people are going to spread more hate in my name. Because I don't care if someone throws harsh words at me. What I do care is people getting harassed because of me, and that's what I don't like,
Right.
even if they're being nasty to me.
I've run into a couple of funny SkinnyPete clones, and I'm never sure if it's the real one or not. You know. So there's always the kind of like that fun little engagement in the dungeon. It's like SkinnyPete, is that you? You know.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
you
one
just
day I'll
run
become
Red
content.
Lizard, and it's just interesting because, like, that's what I mean. I try not to let it get to my head, but, like, my presence is known that much to just the existence of one thing. People think it's me.
That's pretty funny. Um, so, what traits or motivations do you think define your like lizard barbarian like in the story? Like, would you just like how would you describe maybe his personality or code of honor in the world of Dark and Darker?
Hmm. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Sure. Like, what traits or motivations do you think that your lizard barbarian would have, like in the world of Dark and Darker? Like what would be some of his personality traits and maybe like a code of honor that he would have?
I mean, just like me, constantly afraid of the future. He pushes people just because he felt like. I don't know, if I had to make one, I'd say just like me, I'm fighting just because I just don't know what to do. I'm just afraid of my future. So I fight regardless.
I gotcha. Like, would your warlock have a different lore backstory compared to your barbarian?
I don't know. I just made the warlock mainly just to prove a point that I could play other classes. I mean, I just say evil Pete's just evil Pete. I mean, he's just a warlock variant. Though, what if I was a warlock main instead? He's just uses bloodstained blade. He's more of just like the melee caster. Instead of casting spells, he just uses it to increase his melee potential.
I gotcha.
I had to think of something.
If you were to write a story about your barbarian or warlock, like what would be their defining quest or conflict?
Well, I guess my barb would just be like how I am right now, just trying to figure out how to create a future for myself. I'm not afraid of tomorrow
I
because
gotcha.
I'm just afraid.
So, like, how would
I'm
you how would
very
you
afraid, honestly.
how would you imagine that your
Terrifies me.
how would you imagine that your barbarian interacts with other players in the world of like Dark and Darker? Like, do you have like does your lizard character have some allies, mentors, enemies, like rivals?
I mean, I've just been all alone for pretty much a very long time in my life, so I can't even know. I wouldn't be able to even tell you. I wouldn't know even if I knew the answer to that. It's like
I
I said, I mean, he's just alone. I'm just alone out here, man. I'm trying my best to try and do something with my life. But that's about it. Like that's what I mean. I'm not that interesting.
well,
Like
I
it's
don't know
just my
about that.
story is just isolation. The end. He was always alone. The end.
Well, I don't know. I think you've made a friend in like the green lizard Sparky Kawa, right? I actually interviewed him a few days ago, and you guys kind of have the whole lizard theme going on. But he's like the green longsword lizard. You're like the scary barbarian, red lizard that's like fearless in battle. And there's an interesting like little not duality, but there's an interesting
I don't
um,
know. We've been butting heads. He's just been really stressed as of late. Kind of feel doubtful.
yeah. That
He's
pardon me.
been going through a lot as of recently.
Yeah, I heard he's
Other
in
than his
school,
face.
so it's like finals time, I believe, or getting near
Yeah,
that. So
he's been going through a lot with just chat harassing, a lot of trolls in his life work balance.
I gotcha. Um, let's see. I think I have more or less answered that question. Have you developed any like in-game friendships or rivalries that maybe like influence like how you play, or like maybe do you have like a memorable story about like someone who uh like had it out for you like to prove that they were maybe better?
Well, I get stream avoid so hard recently. I can't even remember the last time I was getting stream sniped actively. There was one point, but it's been so bad lately that I can barely find matches. People are avoiding me actively.
Wow, that's normally the
But
opposite problem that people have if they get streams. Normally people get stream sniped a
well,
lot,
it's
and you have the
because like
opposite.
people have stream sniped me, but like the thing is, I just kept killing them over and over. Showed no reaction. Like so, I'm at a situation where people instead of me getting stream sniped, I couldn't even tell you the last time I've been stream sniped. I will be honest.
I
It's
gotcha.
just you'd be stream sniping yourself in the grave. It's like no one wants to fight me. Everyone just see, as you were saying I was like the third boss because people hype me up like that.
I mean,
But because of that, I
your skill
don't
in
have many people to
PvP
fight.
is quite formidable.
Because even now, I'm just faced with people running away from me, and I'm just lonely. So it's kind of depressing. You, the guy who's all alone, is still getting actively avoided by everyone because everyone's afraid of him. So like, it's really depressing. My life's so. I mean, like half of me's joking, the other is not. I'm gonna be.
I think you just need some more confidence in yourself, and you'll be all right.
No, I don't have that. That's the problem. That is exactly the issue. I don't have that because I'm constantly afraid that like I won't be able to keep doing this forever, and I want to keep doing this more. I'm afraid, scared. That's exactly how I feel. It's very scary.
Interesting.
Because any day I can just wake up and everything's gone forever, just evaporated. All viewers just like, nah, I don't want to watch him anymore. He sucks. That's exactly how I feel.
I,
It's a
w-
miserable existence.
I wouldn't put yourself down so much. I mean, like you have been doing a bit better, in your view count from what I sort of see recently.
Yeah,
So but kind of
yeah.
going back to some more of these questions. Are there any like players or characters that you've interacted with that you consider key parts of your in-game journey in your story, like how they shaped your character's growth?
Well, like I said, that's what I mean. It's quite boring. My story quite boring because in the sense, just everyone avoids me like the plague. Everyone was just kind of terrified of me. Like, I know I'm being a little bit sad. I've just been having a really rough week, but I'm just being kind of honest with you in the sense that, like, half of me's joking about what I've been saying. The other half is like, this is just a cry for help. Please send help. I'm sad. It's just like, because, like, I'm just trying my best. I keep a good attitude about it. Like, in the sense, like, I'm still mentally myself. I've been really good. My mental stability is really good. Like, you can make me as angry in the world, but I'm always have self control. Like, I have a very good like mental self and I keep my emotions in check pretty good. But like yeah, like my the only real thing I can really say is I'm just trying to make a future for myself and I'm just all alone. No, really, the other content creators don't really invite me to play, and I have tried reaching out, but like, yeah, I just want to create a future where I don't have to be all by myself anymore. That's about it. Like you ask if I'm like playing with other people, not really.
I
And that's kind of the
gotcha.
sad truth about it is like that's exactly my point. It's just I'm lonely out here. I got no one. I'm in these goblin caves rotting. I'm in these caves rotting. No one wants to play with me. Everyone's avoiding me like the plague. It's a
Like
miserable existence.
I've seen you play with Demo a little bit, and like Sparky, like you've done some trios and
Yeah, I've
stuff.
done some trios. It's just that's what I mean. It's just like I just don't know what to do, man. Like it's just scary. Like I want to be able to keep doing it for a living, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with my life. My life is a wreck. Constantly a constant car crash in slow motion. Not sure what to do.
I
I'm
got
joking about it now, but it's to me it's not very funny because like I don't know I don't know what to do, man. You see, I'm just full of anxiety as you can clearly see. The people imagine me as this fearless guy, but like secretly I'm terrified of my future. That's the reason I push people with such ferocity because I am not afraid of them. I'm afraid of myself.
interesting. If
I know that probably sounds edgy, but that's just the truth. I'm just afraid I don't have the ability to succeed in my dreams. So yeah, I'm not afraid of anyone else but me.
Interesting. If your character, like, how would you want your character to be featured, like, in a book? Like, what moment from your, like, in-game Dark and Darker journey would you want to be part of that story?
Just like me for real, for real. The character that was all alone. He's angry at everything. And then he gets, because he's like one of those characters that's like you don't know if he's the villain halfway, but then he becomes the ally eventually because he kind of, friendship or something. Like he actually finds someone who doesn't try and murder him. Someone finally he's been scared for his entire life because everyone keeps trying to kill him for being a red lizard. Because everyone keeps thinking he's a demon. There you go. There's some lore.
I gotcha.
Lonely red lizard all by himself forever in the caves, just fighting every day to survive. And then one day the main character shows up, but like, hey, you don't have to be, you don't have to fight anymore. You can rely on others. And I'm like, oh my goodness, friends. Oh my, I've never felt this feeling. And then he's a good guy. There you go. That's a story. That's exactly how I feel right now. I'm waiting for the part where the main character shows up and, I actually have friends. I'm waiting for that.
The power of
I'm really
anime, the
sad.
power of anime friendship.
I'm really sad. I'm really depressed.
What legend? What legendary achievement or battle would you want your character to be remembered for?
Oh, what achievement?
Hmm.
Uh, the guy who made the weapon that I had the dream about. Through countless battles, he made that sword so bloody that he kept using blood exchange on it so many times that his own life force was intertwined with the blade, and now that's why it has permanent blood exchange.
You know,
Because I exclusively run only blood exchange, so you can make something like that. Like that's just like part of his soul's in the sword now. That's why it carries his attributes. Because all he knows is just carnage.
I gotcha.
He's been all alone, sad. Half of this is this is half of me's not being half of me being serious, the other half is just joking, making funny, like haha, I'm sad, this is hilarious, I'm laughing at my own misery. Anyway, sorry, I'm mentally having a meltdown. How you doing? Sorry
I'm
if I
hanging in
sound
there.
like,
It's an interesting conversation. Um,
yeah, you can see that I'm quite a character,
yeah,
I'm always open about it, but I still have no one who wants to lend a hand. I really need some help, man. I'm a wreck.
I gotcha. There's talking kind of about the not Grimslayer, like Behemoth, right? So there's a interesting theory, kind of. I'm not necessarily just like floating around the wiki team or whatever, but if you look at like Fulgor or like a lot of the other named unique weapons on the flavor text, right? There's like Kuma's Claw, Kuma's Fang. It's like dark magic from this dragon, or a lot of the other artifacts have like some evil influence or even minor artifacts. But if you look at Fulgor, it's like one of the few that's like considered like a not like a tainted weapon, right? It's more of like a righteous weapon. And so like I thought of an interesting idea to like
What about
have
Aegis? That's
oh
literally
that
has
too, that
holy
too,
in it.
that too, and pulverizing prayer, I guess. But like so there's a few weapons that are like on the
Cinder,
what's that?
Cinder,
Yeah, that too. But like the theory of like how are these weapons made, right?
Viola.
And
I'm sorry.
no, you're good,
It's
you're
really
good. But I
funny.
was thinking like an interesting way that these weapons could be made is everything's powered by souls, right? Like that could be like um the way people get power, or like higher end power, like like the Lich requires souls to be powered up, right? Like every time you die, you buff him. Same with the Warlord and all the other bosses, right? But like
Yeah.
like how do artifact weapons become? How do they get made? Right? Like they either need some innate
Well, their
power.
named items said they were named off someone, so named items were made from the person who made it in their journey.
Right. Or it
So,
could be like it's like
so
say
someone named Fulgor, and that's his sword. Like how I would have I would have Behemoth. Behemoth would be my sword, so it would be the same applies to every weapon. So someone made it, and whoever made it, they had probably an adventure, and then over time they upgraded their gear and weapons until it eventually created something like that.
I think it'd be
Like it's
interesting to
every
have
named item is its own story
I,
by a person. Every named item is its
I
own story
I
with the
think it'd
person
be
who made it and their journey.
I think it'd be interesting to have it where like say Fulgor is made with the soul of a hero, right? Like you have to use it's imbued with soul power, right? Like it's usually made after the person's died. Like
Soul
you
power gives lightning.
it could be forged from the heart of a hero, right? And so
Okay, then what about echoes of screams? Wouldn't that just be many souls?
I'm not sure.
Since
Like that could be like the
since
tortured
the screams of
souls
the
of like victims or something. There's a lot you can do with that. I just thought it was an interesting thing.
yeah. I think the idea of just making it all like every named item is based on an actual character who was named that, and it's their own story. And they had their own story. Keeps it, kind of cool because like if you only show like full glory, like oh man, imagine what they could do with the other characters of the other named items. At least their stories, and there you go.
Right. I think it's interesting. Like Dark Knight doesn't really have much of a story outside of like the quests and some of the flavor text for the items and weapons, and I think it'd be interesting to kind of explore like why is the crypts haunted? Like why does the Lich like 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 why are the bosses there, and like why is there a hell dimension underneath like the ruined castle? I don't know. Have you ever seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood at all?
Yeah.
Do you remember that ancient civilization that what was it, the dwarf in the bottle or whatever? What was the name of that civilization? Xerxes or something like that.
Dorgon. Yeah, Dorgon.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but I feel like there might be like a similar story of where like there is this ancient powerful civilization, right? And this king, was promised some magic by the court wizard, which is the I believe is the Lich. It is confirmed to be the court wizard, and the warlord's like the king's general, and the Ghost King might be the actual king or what have you. I'm not really sure. It's not
Yeah.
super confirmed, but I feel like there's like a similar story to be told there, where like some spell went terribly wrong, or maybe the court wizard sought some power that he shouldn't have and had to become a lich to like save
Withstand
everyone.
it.
Right. And so like every time you enter the crypts, right? So one thing I thought would be interesting for the book is like there's like a new labyrinth or a new dungeon that popped up, which is the ruins, crypts, and then hell, right? And but the thing is, what's weird about this labyrinth is it constantly changes, and when people clear it, it just resets, right? Like normally, like in like say in
So
isekai,
what you're telling me is where are the bad guys? All right.
I mean it's just weird, like it's different, right?
Where
Like
are
people
the
aren't
bad
sure.
guys? Ah. So where are the bad people
Not
torturing
necessarily.
the dead over and over again and not
There's
letting
like
them rest?
some mystery at the heart of that.
Oh,
You know
no,
what I
there's
mean?
no mystery there. We're just kind of evil people, apparently.
Nah. Like there's a lot that you can do with like like there's a new town that it's popped up, and so you could incorporate all the shopkeepers in the lore there, and that would be
Yeah,
interesting.
where would I be in the story? Would it just be me? And I was just, I mean, to be fair, if I was in that story that you're making, it's probably your note's probably all right. So he's super depressed all the time. He's afraid of everything. He's scared of the future. All right, all right. He kind of just smells and just got
Nah,
down
I
your
kind of I
notes.
kind of imagined it where like you were one of the
I was born in the Goblin Caves. I was
right.
raised in the Goblin.
No, like
All
you're
I
kind
knew were
of
goblins. So
maybe
fighting to
outcast.
survive.
Maybe you're outcast from like one of your villages or something, and so
I'm an outcast from my Argonian village. Not
more or
even the other
less,
Argonians want me, so I'm just also you carrying my depression in the book as well.
maybe, but every
Oh
hero
my
needs a good
goodness,
redemption
he's like
arc.
me for real, for real.
I don't know. It's just an idea, but I thought it'd be kind of funny to have like a like the Fighters Guild or the Adventurers Guild kind of fears you, but there's like a subsection of like the longsword community respects you because Sparky Kaw was the only person that could like beat
Why is there
you.
a group of people who use longsword?
Uh,
As in just,
because I think it's interesting, and
it
it's
just
something I want
sounds
to
like
explore.
Sparky glazing. Just sounds like
Not necessarily.
Sparky
No,
the
I have
head of Longsword Incorporated.
one of my good friends that plays this game that got me into this, that I play
Alright,
a lot with. He's a longsword guy, but so I kind of want to incorporate some element of that. He's a large inspiration for why I'm embarking on this enterprise. But I thought it'd be kind of funny to have like like you're
Oh,
like
this is
the
Enterprise,
strongest.
so you're gonna make like toys. If this is
Oh, no, no, no,
Enterprise,
no,
you're
no,
gonna make
no,
this like some Thundercats. Ah, I see. Ah, yeah,
no, not necessarily. I just want to make an
the
interesting
true Mr.
story.
Krabs mindset.
Nah, what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually get if I can get Augustin to maybe like do an audiobook for that. That'd be really cool.
You're
Like
gonna get a.
that'd be kind of interesting. I think he has a good
Alright.
voice,
If you
but
need help with the book, I don't mind. Like, if you don't want to use my story, it's fine.
oh no,
'Cause
I
I got
definitely I
nothing
definitely want to
there.
use your
I'm
story. I
kind of
think it's
mid.
interesting.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, my depression's good for a good story. My life story being all
No, I like you have an
great.
interesting
Oh yeah, this
arc.
is great book material. Let me write this down.
No, I just want to use like real people in this. I just want to use like the stories of real people in this, so it's easier to connect with, and not I'm not just writing a bunch of like hyperbole about
Oh yeah, it's fine.
random
It's just
stuff.
fun just thinking about it. Like, oh my god, this guy's cripplingly sad about his life. Write that down. Write that down.
No, not really. It's we'll give you a good ending, but it's more.
Well, I'll get a good ending. Or am I just
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
gonna die.
We'll get you a good
I'm gonna
ending. Don't
die
worry.
with the friends I made along the way.
Nah, it's been interesting talking to you. That's for sure. Not quite what I
Yeah,
expected.
yeah. I mean, you weren't expecting to try and give me therapy, huh?
Um,
Man, let me talk to this Skinny Pete guy. He's like a Chad. He's always super confident. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I mean, you just caught me at a bad time. I've just been having like the worst weeks. I'm just a little gloomy. So apologies for that.
nah, I gotcha. Everyone goes through a period where they don't
My
feel well.
Wi-Fi, my Wi-Fi box exploded, and my streaming is. I've been desperately trying to stream for this past week and failing.
I gotcha. So are there any like other lore things that you would maybe like want to add, or like any cool ideas that you maybe thought of, for the world of Dark and Darker?
Red Lizard in Goblin Cave, all alone, big sad story. Main character show up, they have conflict, then he become good guy at some point. Maybe he could be at the very end. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. Like he's like the character you don't know if he's just gonna go buck wild and just murder everyone.
Yeah,
He's just really like just full on berserker. Even he doesn't. Even he can't control because he's just been fighting on survival instincts for so long. That's all he knows.
I
He's
think that
always sad and alone. He has no
I think there could
friends.
be a funny little bit. So like one thing I wanted to maybe incorporate in a story. There's some people who've done some funny builds where they'll like put on the default skeleton and maybe like a shield, or like even a zweihander skeleton skin, right? And they'll have like the what is it,
Yeah.
an emoji on. And so those could be like low rank adventurers, and they just wait at the door of the entrance to kill adventurers with better loot, because that's a build some people do that's kind of funny. If there's a bit of like illusion
So in this
magic.
world where you can just become skeleton whenever you want and
No,
no
no,
human.
because it's based off of Dungeons and Dragons, right? And there is a like illusion spell that you can do to look like another race. That's like that some people have access to. So there is like precedent for that, where like maybe you have an item that's like low to
My
medium
sword,
rarity.
my sword. It's one of one because I created it. So everyone's trying to murder. That's why everyone tried murdering me because they want my sword. They want my named item. That's cool. That'd be a good reason.
I mean, like
Something like that. I mean,
the
I'll let
fearless.
you. I mean, it's your book, so I'll let you have full reign. You can do whatever. You can just make me a character that just dies instantly. That's what
Nah,
you
well,
wanted to do.
I've got something I think that's interesting. I think there's a bit of synergy with like the legendary green lizard and the red lizard. There's like
I don't know.
this.
I mean, from
Um,
how people view me, you could put me as that guy from that like new Dungeons and Dragons movie, just the Chad who always walks a straight line no matter what he walks. He's
right,
always
right,
he always walks a straight line. He's just the Chad of the story.
right,
Just the character who like, only walks a straight line.
right. Um, yeah, that'd be kind of funny, but
That's how people view me. If I had to say anything.
I think you have a reputation for being really ruthless in the dungeon, and that like people.
Oh yeah, I'm really ruthless because I'm just trying to make a living out here. I'm trying to be successful, man. I'm trying to make a future, so I gotta get in there and go kill those rogues. With enough rogue sacrifices, anything's possible, right?
Honestly,
If I sacrifice enough rogues to the
that's
gods, maybe I can make a living doing content
that's
creation. That's
honestly
all I want.
that's honestly a community service. I'm not gonna lie.
As a
Anything.
community service, so you're
Listen,
saying
whenever
rogues?
there's less rogues in the dungeon, I'm usually happier. All
Uh,
right.
wow. Oh, you hear that, guys? Community service. I'm really just helping the community out, cleaning up this garbage on the floor. Yeah,
A
clean up
little
the
bit.
garbage. Sweep, sweep, sweep. On my knees, just community service.
See, like
You need,
you are kind of a funny guy once you get out of your
yeah, he's a funny guy when I'm not constantly depressed about my future that's currently going down the drain right now as we speaking, and I'm tumbling down. Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. Yeah,
um
is that what you're trying to say?
not necessarily.
I
I
hope you
think you just
realize I've
need
been
some
murdering people
confidence.
nonstop while we're talking.
See, you can even multitask. All right. I'm
No, I've
actually
literally like, huh?
I'm actually approaching upon the hour here. I actually have a I'm supposed to be.
What is it, 60 minutes? You only give me an hour?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually like a
Give me
little.
7 hours. No. Kidding. Good for you.
I really appreciate this, Skinny Pete. You taking some time out of your day to come talk to a
The
nobody like
sneaky
me.
therapy session talking about his severe depression. Yeah, it's great.
It's a part of you I didn't know that existed. And
Oh,
I
I've
really
been open
appreciate
about
it.
it. If anything, it's just a cry for help. Everyone just thinks it's a joke. They're like, haha, haha, look at him, he's sad. And they don't know I'm just trying to cry for help. No one listens. No one's listening to me. No one ever listens. I'm just kidding. All right. There's the part where I need to stop making the joke before people think I'm becoming the Joker. Okay.
I gotcha.
I mean,
All
I
right,
just
man.
find that really funny.
Again,
So,
thank you so much for this. I've been following you
yeah.
for a while, and you've
Oh
been a
yeah. If you ever
huge
need anything, just
inspiration.
ask.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
will
I'm
definitely.
hyped about the book. I'll be more than glad to look upon this book.
I'm actually interviewing Lord Collector a little bit later. So my view for him is maybe like the dark merchant that rules the underground, which he sort of does with the high end items, like the artifact weapons, and so I think that'll be an interesting like added in character. So, all right, man. I actually do have to go though.
All
But
right.
thank you
Yeah.
again
See
for
you
this. This
around.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like here, I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I've had a lot of fun, but like, yeah, I mean, I'm just honest with. Well, I'm just honest with people. Like, I'm really happy where I am. Like, let me just say this. I am happy. Like, I have been big sad for a very, very long time. This is the first time in human history where I've been big happy. And that's why I'm afraid is like I just don't want to lose it, you know? I want to work hard for the fans and, entertain them.
Well,
So
you've
I just
definitely
want
been
to do this.
entertaining
I
for
just want to
me
keep doing
and
it for a
all my
living.
friends that watch you. So, all right, I actually do have to
Nah,
go though.
nah, I'm
But
mid. Nah, I'm mid. Mid.
thank you once again, man.
You couldn't get the lore, so you had to get for sloppy seconds. I get it. It's okay. I'm second, second fiddle.
Nah, I'm interviewing a bunch of people. All right, man. I appreciate it. I do have to go though.
Yeah, all right, yeah, yeah, you're good. Have fun, man.